Hi, I'm Tom with the List of Interesting Things. Today on the list of interesting political things, we have the first of two videos. This is a two-part video on the Donald Trump Twitter account. As many of you will be aware, last week, the Donald Trump Twitter, along with many of his other social media accounts, was suspended due to his involvement in the incitement in the Capitol riots. As such, I thought it would be appropriate to go through and explore his Twitter history now that it has been archived and can no longer be added to. So, with the help of an organization called the Trump Archive at thetrumparchive.com, who cataloged and archived all of Donald Trump's tweets through his entire Twitter history, and the help of wordcloud.com, I have created these word clouds. The List of Interesting Things has compiled these word clouds as well as done some analysis on the data sets itself. The first video will be on the word clouds. We're going to go through them, take a look at them. The second video, for those a little bit more nerd-minded, we're going to go through some of the more interesting tweets that he sent over the years, find the sum totals of some different words that he's used, things like that. So with that, let's get right in. We have the full data set, 2009, when he created the account, to January 8th, 2021, when it was officially suspended. And we're going to go through it year by year. We have it split into pairs, into year pairs. We're going to go through it one by one. From 2009, when it was created, until 2010, you can see for the most part, it was used as an advertising space for The Apprentice, for NBC, for Miss Universe, for the Trump Hotel. This is well in keeping, I think, with his brand. This is an advertising source. This is a place that he attempted to drum up business for his different ventures. We can see Vegas. We can see season, tune, presumably in the phrase tune in. Miss, presumably in the phrase Miss Universe. Things like this. I think this is fairly normal. This is what we might have expected to see out of him at this time. The shift we see is in the next page. In the next page, 2011 to 2012, we can see that he started to really lean into the political realm once again. After he lost his bid in 1988, he started to really dig back into politics in 2011, 2012 with the Obama administration. This is when he started to lean into conspiracy theories a little bit. It was in 2011 to 2012, and we'll take a look at this when we lean into the data sets. This was where he started to become one of the nation's biggest proponents of the birth certificate conspiracy theory. If I recall correctly, this was the one where people asserted that Barack Obama was actually not born in America. It's an interesting one. We see the word Obama is quite prominent, used a lot in this time set. We'll take a look at the numbers in the next video. The word great takes a front seat. China takes a front seat. Jobs, debt. He starts to talk a lot about politics, a lot about policy, or at least his version of policy. Election takes a front seat. Deal, which is one of his principal words, and words like tower, words like ratings start to take a backseat to his political views, which I find fascinating. I love looking at these word clouds. I love the data sets, I really do, but I adore looking at these word clouds because it gives you a real sense of what was going through his head over the course of these time periods. Moving on, we can see that politics continues to take a center view between 2013 and 2014. Obama, somewhat smaller, but still quite large. Donald Trump, quite large as well. Thanks, a couple of pretty normal words. Will, great, people, president takes a front seat. We see Fox and Friends having a reasonably prominent section. Because of his beginning to court the conservative news sources. I think you can find a couple of conservative news sources on here in other places. We have the word Scotland, which I find quite interesting. It was not until this was pointed out to me that this is in reference to his leaning into the windmill stuff in 2013, 2014. This was when many of the campaigns against windmills started to gain traction. Donald Trump was one of the principal actors in the assertion that they kill birds, that they are an active avian hazard. This was in large part due to the fact that the Scottish government was at that time actively putting windmills around the country, several of them on or near the grounds near the Trump golf course, one of the Trump golf courses in Scotland. And he was an active detractor from this and was, for lack of better phrasing, trashing windmills on his Twitter page frequently. That's why we see course is quite prominent. I'm sure golf is prominent on here somewhere as well. The longer you look at this is why I love these word clouds. The longer you look at this, you find more interesting things. You can see, look how small NBC is compared to what it was a little while ago. Look how small GOP is compared to what it will be in the next couple of pages. I find these absolutely fascinating. Moving right along, we have the 2015 to 2016 section. We can see this is when he starts to really consider running for president in 2015, announce his candidacy in 2016, win the Republican nomination, and then eventually go on to defeat Hillary Clinton in the general at the end of 2016. We see Trump takes a front and center role. We see great America, pieces of his phrase, make America great again. I'm sure that again is on here prominently somewhere as well. We see GOP a bit larger, Hillary quite large. We see Megyn Kelly and Fox and Friends over here on the side. We see Crooked quite prominent as he starts to trash Hillary Clinton. We see some of the other political candidates at the time. Rubio makes an appearance. Cruz makes an appearance. We see CNN down here. Iowa, a couple of other states are down here as well. New, I'm sure, is in reference to, is helped by the phrase New Hampshire, things like that. We see Marco up here. I find that interesting, that Marco is nearly as prominent as Rubio. I find that very interesting. What else? We have Ted down here. One of his favorite phrases was Lion Ted. We have Jeb up here, Bush down here. Clinton, this again I find very interesting. Cruz is obviously larger than Ted. Clinton is smaller than Hillary. He referred to Hillary Clinton more as Hillary than he did as Clinton, which I am fascinated by. This election was, I don't know if I'd call it an anomaly. I'd need more research before leaning into that, but certainly unusual in that many of the candidates were referred to by their first names. Hillary Clinton was referred to as Hillary, principally by her detractors, and Bernie Sanders was referred to as Bernie most of the time. I am not inclined to read too much into this, but I think there is certainly an argument to be made that referring to a candidate by their first name is sort of an effort to remove some of their power as a candidate, but that's a lesson for another time, I think. That's an interesting philosophical consideration, but we'll leave that for today. We have New York Times. He's having a lot of interactions with. Vote. He's having a illegal. That's one that we'll go into in the data set. He uses the phrases illegal and illegals quite consistently during this time period. Moving right along, this is the first 2 years of his presidency, 2017 to 2018, and we can see that it's sort of changed in shape a little bit. He started to use more words, and I think this is because during this time, with the exception of his first section, this is considerably smaller than the rest of the sections. If I recall correctly, during 2015 to 2016, he tweeted to the tune of 15,000 times. In this section, he tweeted only 5,000 times. Now, that's not a small number, but it's smaller than before. So some of them are a little bit more to the point. We can see fake becomes quite quite prominent. He used the phrase fake news quite consistently during this period. Um, Comey, Russian, are both quite prominent. Crooked remains quite prominent. Uh, we see Russia again down here. These sorts of things as he was dealing with the Russia investigation, um, and Robert Mueller looking into his dealings over the course of the election season. We see witch. I'm sure that if we looked, we would find the word hunt from the phrase witch hunt. Uh, Things like this. We see Fox News over here, Borders up here, Obamacare up here. I find it interesting that this is as small as it is because during his first 100 days, a lot of his talk was about repealing and replacing Obamacare. I wonder if that was in the phrase Obama space care more than it was in the phrase Obamacare. I would be very interested to take a look at that during the data set. Moving right, we see the word border down here, which was certainly one of his prominent things. He was starting to look into building the wall. One of his most prominent things was border security, so that certainly tracks. And moving through these, I'm sure that everyone is happy to do this, but I feel like I am reliving the years between like 2014 and now, which is, we'll call it an educational experience, a reminiscent experience, if not entirely a good one. Certainly an interesting one. Finally, we have 2019 to 21. This is from January 1st, 2019 until his suspension on the 8th of January. So if you're watching this in the future, this is not the entirety of 2021. This is just the first days of 2021. Mueller is up here, president up here, great people. Fake is certainly prominent. Joe and Biden take front seats as he starts to gear up for the 2020 presidential campaign. Border is still reasonably prominent. Country is prominent. America and American are both in here, as Make America Great Again and Keep America Great were some of his principles. Witch in the phrase witch hunt. By the way, in this one, he tweeted as much as he did before he was president, to the tune of 10,000. I'll give you a little sneak peek at that in a minute. MAGA, quite prominent. Let's see if we dig a little bit deep. Impeachment, naturally, impeachment was quite prominent, as it was in early 2020 when he was impeached. That's certainly an important thing and something that was focused on quite consistently. Mueller up here. Things like this. Something I'm surprised I'm not seeing is COVID or coronavirus or China virus, which are things that I might have expected to see, as I'm sure that many people watching this will agree. Oh, there's China. I wonder if that is in the phrase China. Yes, China hoax. I wonder if that is what we'll look at that in the data set next time. But as I'm sure that many people will agree, 2020 was a year of singular interests. I would expect the things to be prominent here would be the election and COVID, but Donald Trump didn't focus on COVID all that much, so perhaps that isn't too much of a surprise. And finally, as we saw at the beginning, we have the full 2009 to 2021 data set. There was one word that I removed explicitly from this one. I removed the word will, W-I-L-L, because he used the word will more than any other word by a considerable margin. It took up like half the map. So that one was removed, just bear that in mind. Trump people, great, was very common, very, very popular. President, fake, Democrats. I am fascinated to see that he seems to have used the word Democrats far more than he used the word Republicans, which I find interesting. He seems to have used the word Democrats more than he used the word Americans, which is also quite... Oh no, here it is. About the same amount. About the same amount. Let's see if we can dig a little bit deeper, find anything smaller. We have success written quite small, white, probably in combination with the phrase White House. Media, fake news media was one of his favorites. China was one of his favorites as well. Fox News over here was his favorite news outlet until late 2020. post-election to early 2021. I find this an absolutely fascinating exercise. I find it extremely interesting. We'll take a quick flip over, as you can see here. This is the full data set. This is the entirety of his tweeting history here. In total, 46,000 some tweets over the course of, 12 years, 11 years. We have taken some of the more common and or divisive phrases and or interesting phrases that he uses and put them here to get a count. We'll go through that when we go through the whole data set. You can see we have the total number of tweets and the tweets per day, which I find quite interesting. 2013 to 2014, it was 19 tweets per day, 15 tweets per day, 7 tweets per day, and then in his last year, 15 tweets per day again. 7 and 15 during his time in office. Well, until next time, I hope that you will subscribe to this video to stay up to date on all the most interesting things, and return next time when we do the full dataset analysis. And until next time, I hope that you will be like the Donald Trump Twitter feed. Let's say bombastic and surprising and varied. And above all, be interesting. See you next time.